When 150,000 people turned London into a battleground, the Tommy Robinson rally that shook Britain. Right. Before we dive into what might be the most controversial story to hit London streets this year, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because UK Connors is about to take you inside the rally that had the entire political establishment quaking in their boots. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Saturday the 13th of September wasn't just another weekend in London. It was a day Tommy Robinson managed to mobilize what police are calling one of the largest far-right demonstrations Britain has ever witnessed. And the numbers? Absolutely staggering. We're talking 110,000 to 150,000 people flooding the capital streets, significantly exceeding even the organizers' wildest expectations. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just a march. It was a powder keg waiting to explode. Now, Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxelenin for those keeping score, had the audacity to brand this spectacle as a free speech festival. A free speech festival. Let that sink in for a moment. While the Metropolitan Police were frantically deploying over 1,000 officers to maintain order, Robinson was painting this as some sort of democratic celebration. The irony is absolutely delicious, isn't it? But let's talk about what really happened on those streets, because the sanitized version the mainstream media is peddling doesn't quite capture the raw intensity of the moment. Picture this. Thousands upon thousands of protesters, draped in Union Jacks and St. George's crosses, marching across Westminster Bridge with a kind of fervor that would make even the most seasoned political observers take notice. This wasn't your typical weekend demonstration. This was a statement. And if you're finding this analysis as gripping as I hope you are, don't forget to subscribe because we're just getting started. And trust me, it gets much more interesting. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the kind of energy that politicians spend their entire careers trying to harness. 28-year-old Richie, speaking to reporters, didn't mince his words. It's an invasion, he declared, referring to Britain's immigration levels. They don't understand we want our country back. He called Robinson a hero. A hero. That's not the language of casual political engagement. That's the language of devotion, of genuine belief in a cause. But here's where the story takes a rather predictable tone, because when you get 150,000 passionate individuals in one place, things rarely remain peaceful for long. The violence that erupted wasn't some spontaneous outburst. It was, according to police, premeditated. Assistant Commissioner Matt Twist didn't pull any punches in his assessment. There is no question that many came to exercise their legal right to protest, but there were many who came with the intention of committing violence. 26 officers sustained injuries, 4 of them serious. We're talking concussions, potential broken noses, shattered teeth, and even a prolapsed disc. When protesters began attempting to breach the police cordons designed to keep everyone safe, the situation deteriorated rapidly. 25 arrests followed, but one has to wonder if that number truly reflects the scale of the disorder. Meanwhile, about a mile north, the Stand Up to Racism counter-demonstration was drawing its own crowd of approximately 5,000 participants. The optics couldn't have been more stark. 150,000 on one side, 5,000 on the other. If you're a political strategist, those numbers tell a story that goes far beyond simple protest attendance. Now, here's where it gets particularly fascinating, and if you're not already subscribed, you really should be because this is a kind of analysis you won't get anywhere else. The speakers at this event weren't just your run-of-the-mill political agitators. We had Elon Musk participating via video link. Yes, the world's richest man taking time out of his schedule to address a Tommy Robinson rally. French politician Eric Zemmour was there, as was Petar Bystrom from Germany's Alternative for Deutschland party. This wasn't a localized British phenomenon. This was international far-right politics on full display. Musk's contribution was particularly memorable. The left is a party of murder and celebrating murder, he told the crowd. You're in a fundamental situation here. Violence is coming to you whether you choose it or not. You either fight back or you die. Strong words from someone with the power to influence global discourse through his ownership of X, formerly Twitter. And speaking of X, let's address the elephant in the room. Robinson's influence was supposedly waning after years of legal troubles and platform bans. But since Musk restored his X account in November 2023, Robinson's profile has absolutely soared. It's almost as if being given access to one of the world's largest social media platforms has consequences. Who could have predicted that? The timing of this rally is particularly telling. Britain is experiencing what many are calling rising anti-immigration sentiment. Hotels housing asylum seekers have been targeted by protesters, and Nigel Farage's Reform UK party has been gaining ground in the polls by capitalising on these very sentiments. Robinson didn't create this moment. He simply recognised it and exploited it brilliantly. But let's not forget the counter-narrative, because balance is important, even when discussing the most polarising figures in British politics. Veteran Labour MP Diane Abbott didn't hold back in her criticism, accusing Robinson and his supporters of spreading dangerous lies about asylum seekers. "We must stand in solidarity with asylum seekers," she declared, "and we must demonstrate that we are united." The battle lines couldn't be clearer. The broader context here is what political observers are calling the culture wars, and if you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out on the most comprehensive coverage of how these conflicts are reshaping British politics. The government has been criticized from all angles following its ban on the Palestine Action Group in July. Hundreds of peaceful protesters supporting the organization have been arrested under anti-terrorism legislation. Meanwhile, the arrest of comedy writer Graham Linehan for allegedly offensive online comments about transgender individuals sparked widespread ridicule. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has pleaded with law enforcement to focus on the most serious issues, but Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley has made it clear that the legislation needs changing. He doesn't believe his officers should be policing divisive cultural conflicts. It's a fascinating glimpse into how the establishment is struggling to cope with the very polarization it helped create. What makes Robinson's resurgence so remarkable is how effectively he has managed to position himself as a champion of free speech while simultaneously organizing events that regularly descend into violence. The cognitive dissonance is quite something to behold. This is a man with extensive criminal convictions who's managed to convince 150,000 people that he's their voice in the wilderness. The protesters displaying images of Charlie Kirk, the American right-wing activist and Trump supporter, alongside derisive slogans against Labour Prime Minister Keir Starmer, reveal the international nature of this movement. Stop the boats placards mixed with American political imagery. It's globalized populism in action. But perhaps the most telling aspect of this entire spectacle was the sheer devotion on display. These weren't casual political participants showing up for a weekend stroll. These were true believers, people who genuinely see Robinson as a champion against what they perceive as an establishment conspiracy. When Ritchie called Robinson a hero, he wasn't engaging in hyperbole. He meant every word. The question that emerges from all this isn't whether Robinson's influence is growing. The numbers speak for themselves. The question is what happens next. With 150,000 people willing to take to the streets of London, with international far-right figures lending their support, and with the blessing of the world's most powerful social media platform owner, Robinson has assembled something unprecedented in modern British politics. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood's promise that those involved in criminal behavior will face the full force of the law rings somewhat hollow when you're dealing with a movement of this scale. How exactly do you prosecute your way out of a political phenomenon that can mobilize 6 figures worth of supporters? The establishment's response has been predictably inadequate. Arrests, condemnations, and calls for calm aren't going to make this movement disappear. If anything, they are likely to fuel the narrative that Robinson and his supporters are being persecuted for their beliefs. It's political martyrdom 101, and Robinson has mastered the playbook. What we witnessed in London wasn't just a protest. It was a demonstration of political power that traditional parties ignore at their peril. When 150,000 people are willing to brave potential arrest and violence to support your message, you cross the threshold from fringe agitator to genuine political force. The injuries to those 26 police officers, the 25 arrests, the international speakers, the Elon Musk endorsement, these aren't coincidental details. They are the building blocks of a movement that's managed to go from the margins to the mainstream in record time. Whether you support Robinson or despise everything he represents, you cannot deny the political reality of what unfolded on the streets of London, and that, frankly, should terrify anyone who cares about the future of British democracy. Not because of what Robinson represents, but because of how effectively he has managed to tap into genuine grievances that the political establishment has consistently failed to address. When people feel unheard, they don't simply disappear. They find someone who will listen, even if that someone comes with a rather unsavory political baggage. So there you have it. 150,000 people, 26 injured officers, international far-right support, and a political establishment that still doesn't seem to grasp the magnitude of what they are dealing with. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure you're subscribed to UK Connors because we'll be following every twist and turn of the story as it develops. The next chapter promises to be even more explosive than what we've just witnessed, and you won't want to miss a single moment of it. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.